Hey guys, I'm Erica. I sold my entire collection of 200 plants a few years ago, and now I'm starting over, creating another little corner of God's creation. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about creating a houseplant collection on a budget. And I'm going to go through a few different tips and tricks, and as well as some things that I want to try in the future for my collection. So I'm going to go through getting plants at a big box store, getting cuttings, and also some budget supply tips and tricks. Okay, so I think this is very fitting for me right now in my season. I'm wanting to start my houseplant collection again, and because I have two kids under 2 right now, I have to be a little bit more conscious about where we're spending our money, and so that can't all go into plants, unfortunately. But I want to make this collection work, so I'm going to be using these tricks. But anyway, these are kind of some things that I've done, some things that I've done before with my old collection to help cut costs. And things I'm hoping to do this time around. So the first way is the big box store. And you can get a lot of great plants at big box stores now. Even a few years ago, I mean, you could still get some really good plants then. But since I stopped my first collection, since I sold my first collection, there's been a lot more unique, interesting varieties available that I've seen at these big box stores. So that's super cool. It's not like super limiting in that sense. You are able to see the plants that you're getting. You can look at the roots. You kind of just know what you're getting. So these are the very first 2 houseplants that I bought this time around for this collection, and they were from Lowe's, a big box store. So they're doing very well. They're looking wonderful. I haven't done anything to them. These are the pots that they came in. I've watered them a couple times in the month maybe that I've had them. Maybe it's been longer now. They have lots of new growth, especially this Hoya. Oh, she's so beautiful. And then this one has put out a few new leaves for me as well. And yeah, so you can get some great plants at the box store. It's very nice, yeah, because you get to see what you get. You can check the plants for pests and check the roots. You can just like kind of dump the plant out of the pot. Usually they come right out, and you can check if there's pests in the soil. If you see a bunch of fungus gnats flying around, which those are kind of inevitable, so do what you will with that. But if you see like mealybugs or spider mites or thrips or any of that, like don't bring that into your home. So it's good to know exactly what you're getting. Obviously, some pests you might not be able to see, and that's just the risk that you take when starting a houseplant collection. But I think another cool thing is with box stores that you can get some really big, like bushy plants for cheap, and you don't have to like wait a long time. You don't have to pay an arm and a leg for a huge bushy plant. Like, I mean, this plant, it has grown a lot since I've got it, but it was pretty full from the beginning, and it was not that much money. So you can start with like a bigger plant, and at maybe a more boutique plant shop, it would be more expensive, which makes sense. And there might be some ethical conversations about that as well. But coming from my background, I used to work in a big commercial greenhouse, and it was fine. The work was fine. I wouldn't raise any ethical dilemmas for me. So anyway, that's my thoughts about the big box stores. I guess another thing I want to mention about the big box stores is sometimes you have to be aware that some of the new growth can be a little wonky potentially because they've been transported maybe across the country or at least across states, and they've been in very low light conditions. The light inside the box stores is not very great. So for example, one of the other leaves that has come out has been like super tiny, and then this leaf got damaged, so it came out like that. But some of the other new leaves, like this one just came out. This one is still hardening off, so there are still some beautiful leaves on here. But just something to be aware of because of the light conditions and just getting damaged from shipment. That might be something. But as it grows out, as they kind of get past that, as you're caring for them, they're hopefully having high light or whatever their light needs are in your home. They'll start to put out some really great, beautiful growth. All right, so the next thing that I've also done, and you can see like up here, is get cuttings. So if you want, you can watch my last 2 videos ago that I did. I unboxed 19 mystery plant cuttings. So I bought just online, and I'll try to link her shop below, but I bought them from this wonderful lady named Kayla. And so yeah, cuttings. So it's a very good way to get a bunch of different variety of plants for cheap. I mean, the cost per cutting for me, for 19 cuttings, I got for $25 plus shipping. So that's potentially 19 new plants, whole new plants. And obviously it takes a while to watch them grow, and there's nothing nothing wrong with that. I quite enjoy the whole process. It can sometimes feel a little frustrating if you, you're starting out with, see, I have this one. You're starting out with just like 2 leaves, and this one is now starting to get a little root on the bottom. But you're like, what's happening? Like, it could take a long time, and honestly, it could take years before like this can turn into something like this. So, let me fix that plant really quick. Put that one up here. But yeah, so it could take a long time for something like this to get fuller and bigger size. But it's also, I think, part of the hobby and the excitement, watching something just starting from 2 leaves and 1 node grow and sprout and just get big and bushy. And also, if you start out with a bunch of plant cuttings at the same time like I did, then there's always kind of something happening. You can always see new roots starting to grow, new leaves, or any type of new growth. And so that's really exciting too, because it's not just like you're waiting on this one little cutting and you don't know what's going to happen with that one cutting. So some ways that you could go about getting cuttings, like me, I just ordered from somebody online, and that was great because they had a lot of different options and it was for cheap. I mean, for somebody who has a huge houseplant collection, it doesn't take a lot for them to just go around and cut a little bit from random plants here and there, and maybe they need to chop some of theirs or prune or whatever. Anyway, so that's one way. Or if you know somebody who has houseplants or a collection, or even if they aren't like into houseplants, and they have something, you could always ask them for a cutting, and that could even just be 1 plant to start your collection. It always starts with 1. Another thing too that's really cool sometimes in local Facebook groups, you could post that you're looking for maybe some cuttings. A lot of people can or want to give those away for free. They're not going to charge something for them, or they'll charge very cheap. I know when I had my old collection, I would sometimes just prune one of my plants because it was looking a little scraggly or whatever, and I would end up with so many random cuttings, and I would try to root them all, and I would have little cups all over my apartment. And sometimes I was like, I just need to give these away or get rid of them or something, because it's just a lot. So that's another way too. You can reach out on local Facebook groups, or even Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes too, people will be getting rid of plants for cheap. For example, like when I moved and had to sell my entire collection, I listed all of them on Facebook Marketplace, and for pretty good deals too. So that's some options for the cuttings side. My third thing is budget supplies. So I think a lot of people, when they start out a houseplant collection, they don't really think about the care or any of this extra supplies that they might need to get besides just the plants, right? We all love the plants. We all want the plants. We all want more different varieties, whatever. But you also have to think about all the supplies that it takes to care for these plants. So I've been getting a lot of my supplies right now from Amazon, just kind of some of the cheaper stuff. And I'll maybe link below what some of the stuff I've been buying is. So far, it's not that much. So you really don't need that much. And as I go along, I'll just get what I need here and there. But I think another thing too, again, Facebook Marketplace, some people might be selling off pots, or really pots is probably the biggest thing and probably the most expensive. It's not really good to get soil from like used soil. I would go with a new bag of soil. I think that's something that you should splurge on. But for example, when I first got back into this journey this time around, I bought just a Miracle-Gro indoor plant bag of soil. And after the fact, I was like, oh man, I should have just got a really nice soil. So I might do a video in the future about like soil amendments or how to make that work for my plants, because I don't want to waste it. I'm going to use it. But I think there's some cheaper ways to make that. And I think maybe overall it will work out fine. But yeah, making the right amendments to that, and I think overall it'll be cheaper as well than just buying like a more high quality soil mix. Another thing is being intentional about what you are buying. So for example, for my watering can, and I'll probably add a picture because I don't have it with me, but for my watering can, I bought something that is not very aesthetically pleasing. However, with my first collection, I had one and it was just so impossible to clean, and it wasn't very big, but it looked beautiful. But this time around, I bought one and it's like the perfect amount for the fertilizer that I have. That can be, it'll mix up really easily. I don't have to like think about it or do crazy conversions or anything. So that's something, and again, it's easy to clean. So that will last me longer, but it also wasn't that expensive. It was just like a plastic one. So I guess thinking about things like that, not just going out and buying a whole bunch of stuff or something just because it's cute, which I know we all do that, and the same thing with the actual plants too, right? So just being more aware and more conscious of what we are buying. Potentially with certain things, if you know it's something that's going to be used a lot or might take some wear, just going initially with maybe a more expensive option, but knowing that you're not going to have to rebuy it a whole bunch of times. This is kind of a fourth thing, but I'm going to lump it in with number 3, so I'll call it 3.5, is using things from home. So this is technically like, yeah, budget supplies. There's a lot of stuff that you can just use at home. You don't need to buy all these crazy things that people are advertising, and I'm not saying that those don't work, and I've wanted to try a lot of cool things that I've seen myself as well. But if you are truly on a budget, there's a lot of things that you can do that will be fine. Probably you already have a lot of stuff in your home. So the first thing is plastic cups. So this is just like a little drinking cup. This one's a small one, but you can get larger ones as well, and they work great. So you can either use them just like to prop stuff in without holes in the bottom, or you could just poke holes and even like put another pot or another cup under it as like a cash pot, and it just works as a little pot. You could also do like yogurt containers or sour cream containers and clean and sanitize those, poke holes, and yeah, just another idea for a cheap pot. And then another thing that I've been doing too, which I've not tried before, is use these plastic bags as like a little humidity dome. So this is my Hoya elliptica cutting, and it's a little bit more fragile, so the leaves are just thinner. You can see in there. But I'm like, dang, I need to keep more humidity inside the plant. And so I was like, oh yeah, let me just put this bag over top. It's not closed or anything, just sitting over top. But as you can see, it works. There's condensation in the bag. So it's creating a higher humidity, and this was something I already had at home. So I didn't need to get any fancy thing or like even just a box. I just put this over it because I already had it in this cup. And another thing with propagating too is you could just use like leftover containers, like the plastic ones, like the clamshell ones, and you can put like moss or perlite in there, and then put your cuttings on there and then close it to keep the humidity in. I've seen that before too, so that's pretty cool. And then another thing that I've done is I made my own leaf spray. So it's literally just Castile soap and water, and this is just the soap that I used. I think this is a 10-ounce spray bottle, and I did 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon. I'll put it on the screen when I check after the video. But yes, it is just Castile soap and water. And after I brought my plants home from the big box store, I just showered it in the shower, gave it a good shower, and then I sprayed this all over the tops, the bottom of the leaves, everywhere, and then I let it sit for like 30 minutes, and then I rinsed it off in the shower again, and that was it. But you could use it to like shine your leaves or dust or clean, whatever. But I think the Castile soap deters pests. So yeah, that's a cool option. But there's also a lot of other formulas and stuff that people put out there online. I think there's like ones with peppermint or tea tree oil or different types of like alcohol or hydrogen peroxide too. So that's something that you can use instead of buying like a fancy plant wipe or instead of buying a specialty like spray, which again, I'm sure those work great, but if you don't have the budget, it's probably a lot cheaper to just make your own. Now I'm going to talk about some of the future things that I would like to try to maybe cut down on some costs or to budget, and some of them sound kind of fun. So, and some I've done in the past as well. So with my old collection. So trying to find more local plant meetups or plant swaps. I think that's super cool. When I was in North Carolina, it was a huge plant community there. So there were a lot of different plant meetups and events. So some areas that might work better, or you could create your own maybe. I'm sure there's people who love houseplants all over the country. Next thing is continuing to look at friends and family for maybe giving you some cuttings of their plants that they have. I know, for example, my sister, she's super into houseplants, and so who knows, maybe she would lend me some cuttings, and then in the future I would give her some. And I don't know, it's kind of fun, trades and swaps, and even people you meet online too, you can send them in the mail and swap different plants, and I think that's super cool. So I might try to do that in the future as well. Maybe not right now, as I only have like these 2 plants that I would maybe take cuttings from, but hopefully my other cuttings grow so that eventually I can either make fuller plants or swap cuttings with people. That'd be cool. And the next thing is growing from seed. Now I have not looked into this at all, and I don't know like how feasible it actually is to grow these types of plants from seed, but I think it would be super fun. I love growing other plants from seed. I've grown like lots of sunflowers or other ornamental plants from seeds before, so that would be really cool. And I don't know, maybe it's a lot more difficult than I'm making it out to be to grow these plants from seed, or maybe it's really expensive to get the seeds, I don't know, or to germinate them. Maybe it takes a long time. So I don't know, but maybe that would be a fun thing. And if it works out to be cheaper, a cool option to explore. So we'll see about that. And the next thing, keeping an eye out for clearance plants, either at big box stores or even just like grocery stores. I know Trader Joe's has a lot, Publix where I'm at, but there might be a bunch of other different types of stores that have plants. I think Target has plants sometimes. Of course, now with a 3-month-old, I kind of get in there and get out if I even go at all. Usually my husband just goes shopping for us now. So that might be a little while for me to like kind of keep my eye out for that. If I happen to see something and I have the budget to get a clearance plant, then I think that would be fun. And I've also seen a lot of people like rescue plants too. If like Lowe's or Home Depot have very marked down clearance sales, I think sometimes people even go like dumpster diving behind these stores to get plants that they've just thrown out and kind of rescue them, which would be a cool project. Like, oh man, all these dying plants, and then seeing if you can save them. I think that's really cool. So potentially on the lookout for some clearance plants from those shops as well. And so that's all the categories that I have, but I just wanted to kind of throw out some reminders for people who are starting out their plant collections. And also these are reminders that I've been having to give myself as well as my journey is here. So the first would be, it's okay to go slow. It's okay to not get a whole bunch of houseplants at once. So getting one and then a couple weeks later getting another, like that's still a collection. You're still growing it. You're still able to take joy in all the new growth that you see from the little plant that you have, or the couple plants. Even just like this little dresser full of plants that I have now, I'm able to see something new every day. And the growth, the roots, the leaves. So it's still so special. And sometimes I think, oh, I just wish I could have like all these walls full of plants again. And maybe one day I will, but I right now just want to appreciate the collection that I have. The next thing is, which I kind of mentioned before, which is to take joy in watching the small plants that you have grow. So obviously it's not like these are not the same as this full bushy Hoya, but I can still find the joy in watching these little tiny cuttings grow. And honestly, it would probably be even more rewarding in a few years when some of these plants are maybe even bigger than this one. And I'm like, wow, I remember when that little cutting was just 2 leaves and I watched it just grow from that. And so I think that's super cool too. So just reminding yourself to kind of slow down and find the joy in where you are at on your journey. And I think God is so gracious. He gives us so many joys every single day if we just look for them. Yeah, no matter what, you can always find the joy in God's creation. I think another thing too to remember is to be more intentional with buying plants. And that is also going to be a struggle for me. I think it'll be a struggle for everybody who has plants or who wants a big houseplant collection. But I think it's better to kind of find plants intentionally for the spots that you have. I know I used to just buy a whole bunch of plants just because I love them. I think they're beautiful. And then I would bring them home and I'd be like, oh, shuffling things around, trying to figure out where they get the best light, and then having plants die or like just be really scraggly or stringy because they just didn't have great light, and I'm just trying to fit them in my home. And honestly, that actually makes it worse than just not having the plant at all, because it just doesn't look good. And you know that you're not giving it the best that it needs to survive and thrive. So I think being way more intentional about, okay, I have this spot, I can put some plants here. Now I can go find the plants for this spot. Or even like in the future, maybe if I get a little greenhouse or even a plant shelf with some lights, and then I can be like, okay, I can fill this up now. But doing that first instead of having all these plants waiting on me to do that, especially when I'm on a budget and I don't know when I would be able to buy the shelf or the lights or whatever. So, and then I think the last thing too is to find more joy in the common plants as well. So even just a golden pothos, it's probably one of the most common houseplants, is beautiful. It's beautiful. A lot of people have them and it's still beautiful. And if that's what you can get for your collection, that or more, I don't know, more typical plants, I suppose, that's awesome. And that's still like such a joy to have in your collection. And it is still a collection. Even if you only had a bunch of different plants of that variety, like that's still a collection. And I don't think we need to be chasing like the next best variety of plant or mutation or whatever else keeps coming up. There's always new stuff. And so I think it's cool to just sit where you are in your collection and appreciate what you can and what you have. And all plants are beautiful and great. So that's awesome. And with that, I think that's everything that I wanted to say. Hopefully you guys found some useful information in this video, or at least encouragement while starting your journey. Or even if you have a whole bunch of houseplants, just those reminders to take the joy with what you have. And there's always joy in our plants. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.